Hello, hello. Great news, one and all. The Shadow of the Erdtree trailer launched this morning, and I just wanted to go over it briefly with you. It's so chock full of stuff. I'm sure if we really wanted to take the time, get really neurotic about it, we could analyze each and every frame and go into wild BS speculation about what is going to be in this DLC releasing 4 whole months from now. But we're not going to do that. We're going to watch the trailer, we're going to pause occasionally, we're going to talk about what we know as connecting through lines between what elements we see in the trailer and the lore that's already established in the base game, and take it from there. And we'll probably take a brief glance at the Miyazaki interview. It dropped shortly after the trailer release, so let's just take a moment and watch some of it. Here we go.
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men.
All right, so he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. It's a figure standing there that we saw, got this robe on, it's embroidered, whatever, doesn't matter, but he's before Miquella's cocoon, and we know, thanks to the bewitching branch, that Miquella can compel people's adoration or affections. Let me see, let's get the exact phrasing here. The Empyrean Miquella is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection. So he's talking about Miquella's powers right there.
Of men. There is nothing more terrifying.
True that. Mind control. Oh, I love this. I gotta show this to you. So, let's back it up a few frames. We have, the Raging Wolf set tarnished poster boy riding into this new zone we're gonna see. And I'm backing it up because you see up here in the top left-hand corner, there's a bridge, and I'm making agitating clicking noises as I'm going back for it. Oh, it's so brief. How far back is it? There we go. Pop. Rendering error. Just like the real game. It's true to life, which is kind of neat. That means this is, of course, in-game footage. But let him go down the road a little bit. So we have some neat structures going on, and guess what's back? Flying buttresses. Miyazaki loves his flying buttresses. It's an architectural style from our own world, of course, and it has made its way into, of course, Dark Souls 1, and it's shown in some places in Dark Souls 3. I think it's in Dark Souls 2 and Drangleic Castle as well. So they love flying buttresses. We wondered where they were. Here they are. Lots of buildings going on. This is a grand environment that we get to see here. We get to see those ghostly tombstones again amidst fields of wheat. So let's let it play out a little more. Oh, we have uprooted roots up here. We never really saw roots of the Erdtree above ground so much. We didn't get that in the base game, and it looks like it's all over the place here. And look, we have some red tiled buildings. Kind of reminds me of Celia, Town of Sorcery, or Ordina, the liturgical town, or even Lower Lanedale. All three of those places have very strikingly similar architectural style, and don't you know, looks like a little obelisk where we will get a map fragment. So many of the same gameplay components are coming here as well. All right, and this scene is what I wanted to spend a moment on. Normally, the lands between feel like they're in fairly good condition, all things considering, if you don't count, like, the Scarlet Rot area or the Death Blight beneath Lanedale, right? But just from the surface, if you're looking at Limgrave, Weeping Peninsula, Liurnia, all of these places in the lands between, they look like they're in great condition. It looks like, sure, they're past their heyday. They've fallen from grace a little bit, so to speak, pun not intended. But they're in okay condition. Here, it's this crevice, this ravine, this big parting of the land. Everything looks physically torn apart a little more. We see that tree in the background, the shadow of the Erdtree. Is that really the Erdtree? Is this just a spiritual representation of the Erdtree? Is this the Haligtree? Is the Haligtree what is in the shadow of the Erdtree? We don't know just yet, but hopefully the trailer will reveal that in time. I really like the skyline there, how it looks like these curtains from the top of Marika's bedchamber just parting the heavens, so to speak. Kind of really lends it to the idea that this is not the normal plane of reality we're used to in the Lands Between, which is already shaky to begin with, but this is some sort of other dream world or shadowscape, whatever you want to put it. Just looking up into the sky and seeing drapes is a tad silly, but it's quite a striking visual, I must say. Here we go. I feel like we've seen this knight helmet before in revived cut content, but I can't quite place it. Don't know who he is, but he's got a neat outfit. Reminds me of Wilhelm from Dark Souls 3 just a bit, but a little more bronzen, brass maybe colored. And then there's this light symbol here, which looks a little too uniform to be a great rune, but who knows what that actually is going on there. Could be a great rune, could be a fragment, I don't know. Or maybe it's a Smash Bros. Invitation. But let's keep playing. Another nice knight dude here. He reminds me of Dorian, King Dorian from Demon's Souls, if you recall. Something about the outfit just gives that effect to me. Not sure exactly what it is, but we're going to have some new NPCs, new armors, new weapons, by the looks of it. Pretty obvious stuff. You don't need me telling you that. But we don't have lore implications yet. I'm going to try to not postulate too much, but we're just going to keep moving forward and draw through lines as we see them that are a little more concrete.
In that forsaken place.
Oh, I want to bring it back to that other guy. I can't help it. This guy, he's got that, I don't know what you'd call it. It almost looks like oxidized armor. You know, it's kind of got the patina of that green rust on it. But he's like a rounded Havel. I kind of like it. It's this chunky, very raw-looking armor. Oh, I hope it's good. I hope it's not heavier than the Bull Goat armor, but I want to rock this outfit when we actually get to the DLC. And he's got a pot. What is he doing with that? But keep in mind these spiral shapes. We'll see more of them later throughout the trailer. And then up here, it looks like we have a bunch of, they're almost like hieroglyphics, which is kind of interesting. And then these top triangular shapes kind of remind me of Greco-Roman architecture in general, so it's kind of a weird meshing, because I don't remember much in the way of hieroglyphics or little sculpted people, so it seems like a blending of things, and I think we're going to get more of that as we look through the trailer, is inconsistent elements throughout Elden Ring mixed together, feeling inconsistent with each other, kind of like a dreamscape.
Blood must spill. Blood of your fellows.
So we have this figure here. I should run it back, but they're sitting in this chair by the looks of it. Yeah, and it looks like we are in, it looks like a little bit of a Rael Lucaria Academy or an academy adjacent place. That place was also littered with cages, had benches, so not just the Golden Order and whatever faction Mikola would be considered a part of now, but also perhaps sorcerers are here in some capacity.
Blood of your fellows.
The first time I saw this trailer, I was watching on a poor quality monitor, and I thought that this was a cliff in front of me with a straw hut at the top, and it gave me really bad Sekiro vibes. Not in a bad way, just that's what it gave me. And it's not until I'm looking at it here on a higher resolution, better quality monitor that I can see, oh yeah, this is like a manor house building, and this is just a cone-shaped dome at the top of the building. And don't you know, more swamp, obligatory swamp. Can't help but have more swamps in the Miyazaki Soulsborne games. For some reason, the water looks gross and brown, but when they splash through it, it's blue. Hopefully it's not a new flavor of poison. Probably not, but you never know. We have a robed figure here, and I believe we see this exact robe on a character later. I'll try to point it out. And the first time I saw this, I saw old man and woman. I got a father-daughter vibe. I don't know if that's actually what's going on here. Kind of reminds me of Father... What is it? Ariandel from the Dark Souls 3 DLC a little bit, like before everything went nuts, you know? Kind of that father-daughter-ish man-woman relationship going on. But I'll try to point out his shawl he's got going on there, because it's got a very distinct crest there holding it together, brooch, or whatever you want to call it. I like this area. This is pretty neat to me. All these hanging pots, this narrow cliff, kind of reminds me of the Ringed City DLC near the end of that in Dark Souls 3. And it also reminds me of Black Gulch. Are we getting Black Gulch 2? Who knows? That would be neat. New reviled area. Narrow passageways and cliffs tend to make people uneasy. Stuff hanging from rafters. Could be Black Gulch 2. Who knows? I'm sure the Dark Souls 2 fans out there will let you know what they think. Love those guys. Love to make fun of them too. Can't help it. Again, it feels like a little more Dark Souls 2 going on. Iron Keep or Broom Tower DLC from Dark Souls 2. We got this molten metal here. Gonna probably serve a similar function to lava. This guy's climbing up this thing that looks like he probably should not be on, but there's moving bits inside here if you looked at it. And so that's a neat little fixture going on there. So it looks like we're gonna have wild and varied environments. And in the Miyazaki interview, which we will glance at, I believe Miyazaki confirmed that the size of the DLC, at least in terms of landmass, is a little bigger than Limgrave, which is already chock full of stuff. It's an incredibly dense area of the game, so that's quite the promise. So it explains why it's going to be like $40. And here we have, it looks like a suburb of Lanedale. It's not in Lanedale proper, but a nicer area perhaps. But the top part is like faded black, and it looks like it's dissolving, which is a very interesting thing. Kind of reminds me of the paintings that have existed throughout the Souls game, or maybe Fair Missoula, where gravity's not acting quite right. But it looks like a neat little area getting up to it. More of these spiral pillars. Maybe we'll see rounded Havel near some of those, though I think we'll see these just about everywhere. They look like they were littered throughout the place in the trailer.
They were never saints. They just happened.
Interesting detail here you might have noticed. This wicker basket that's flaming, that seems to be a field boss we will deal with later, is full of bodies. All these bodies reaching out. We got arms, heads, torsos. Ugh. It's a cool design. We don't know a whole lot about the automatons that are going on in the lands between. We know that they're weak to crystal darts, and this looks like some other war machine going on here. And I'm curious to know how it functions. I doubt it'll be weak to the crystal darts. It seems to be of a different make than the imp golems, than the burial watchdog, than the giant halberd and great bow wielding golems. But automatons are an interesting subject in Elden Ring. We don't know hardly anything about them.
On the losing side of a war.
Got this horrible worm thing going on that is a mix between the man serpent and the worm faces we already seen. And then because I've paused it, we can take a look and see on this side of its weird tube head, it's got 4 eyes. It probably has 4 eyes on the other side. Horrible 8-eyed monstrosity. And here's one I wanted to point out. We'll run it back just a smidge, but it's this lion head, and it has this massive hand come in and close its jaw. And inside, you have these horribly elongated jaw going on. This horribly elongated jaw of these flat, almost perfect teeth, reminiscent of like a ventriloquist dummy. And then you have the actual lion's sharp teeth around it. And this hand comes in and closes it. And if you watch carefully, it's this fellow who, we've got like, I think that's a hand there and another hand over here kind of holding it up. This lion's head monstrosity. Almost like it's a puppet or a dummy. At first I thought, is this grafting? Because we have this like body up here, hand, feet and legs all the way over here. Human centipede, human shaped like an ant monster. it looks like grafting, right? You'd think it's grafting. Maybe it is grafting gone horribly wrong or in a new direction. Godefroy was really a trendsetter of sorts, but it's covered in these curled omen horns all over the place. Did an omen graft this lion's head onto himself? Did the horns then poke through the lion's head as it was a part of his body? Or did this monster already graft together from men and lion also get omen bits grafted onto him because omen are really strong? I don't know. It's quite an eyesore. And of course, lions are a sign of Godfrey, Lord Godfrey, first Elden Lord, and Serash, his I almost said his ward, his vassal regent who served under him after he was conquered or whatever. Serash the lion that we see during the Godfrey boss fight. Beastmen. Lion beastmen exist. We have another iteration of them in some horrible, monstrous form. It also reminds me of in those Chinese parades where they have those dragons or those lions, and they take like a good handful of men to puppeteer them properly to give them life, motion, and weight to them. It's kind of like that. It's like Miyazaki saw that Chinese tradition and went, make it high fantasy gothic, but morbid to the max. Let some more of this play. And of course, beastmen, as we know, have that direct through line to the ancient dragon civilization. And what are dragons known for? Superior red lightning. This is kind of a wimpier shadow of that. You know, normal lightning as we know it in our world, yellow lightning, or yellowy white lightning, is the weaker, less cool version of lightning. So of course grafted things tend to be a shadow of what they once were, though it seems like a short-term way to get some success, kind of like a steroid abuse or something.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction?
So this figure, I think Miyazaki confirmed his name was Mesmer. And I think he'll say it in the subtitles, which I'm so glad I have the subtitles. These weren't here when the trailer first dropped. But he's got this pole arm looking thing here. Kind of reminds me of the Mogwin Sacred Spear. But this fellow's obviously got a snake motif going on. He's got these bat wings coming off of him. Don't know if those are also grafted on. He's got this snake going on here, another snake going on here. And snakes, as we know, are a sign of the world-eating serpent, blasphemy, Lord Reichard, Volcano Manor, and of course we have this deep red fire, kind of like Reichard's fire. You know, that fire, that magma is a combination of faith and intelligence in the game's mechanics. So it's interesting to know where this comes from, but there's also all these weird shadowy tendrils. So it makes me wonder if it's a shadow of those things, who this fellow is in reality. I think in the interview, Miyazaki also said this Mesmer fellow, I might be saying his name wrong. I'll get corrected later. I'm waiting for it. That this fellow was supposed to be on par with the other demigods of the lands between. So let's let it play a little more and maybe get a better shot of him. There we go. Right before it goes dark. Kind of an outfit that he's got the Radigan red hair, so who knows what the through line is there. He's talking to a mother. Is that the Formless Mother? Is that Queen Marika? Is that Melania? Who knows who he's actually related to, but he's got the serpent eyes going on. Makes sense given his motif. Kind of reminiscent of, or it looks like those dragon eyes you can get as a player when you partake in Dragon Communion too many times. And his whole outfit kind of reminds me of Bloody Finger or Violet Finger Eleonora. She has that Dragon Knight outfit. And it's got the chainmail, it's got the hat. Of course, that was a dragon whole motif going on, and this is a serpent one. But Mesmer here is talking about somebody bereft of light. And he's addressing his mother, whoever that is. We don't know. I'm just drawing through lines that are a little more concrete. I'll try to leave the speculation to the side so this doesn't go on too long.
Rest of light.
Cool new weapons. New moveset or new Ashes of War on somber weapons. Don't know. New incantation. And they brought back a cool flat hat and many kicks. I don't know if this... I think it's a player character. It looks like a player character fighting an NPC, and it looks like a boss fog there. I assume this is the boss arena, but this could be just right before a boss arena. We don't know. But he's doing these flying kicks. People who love the Bone Fist are excited. We get big pots. Set aside those cracked pots and those ritual pots. We got big pots now. I didn't want to do a pot build, not really. Didn't really interest me. I've seen people do it. Doesn't have a lot of variety. You just play a dex build or whatever. But maybe I'll do a pot build if it has these giant pots.
I presume you, too,
We got the Guts from Berserk cosplay taking another tier, and don't you know that is a mechanical crossbow.
seem to know.
Fully automatic. And I thought this might have been another grafted figure here, this bear going on. It's got a horn growing out of it, but if you look at the edge, it's a little more misty. It's a little more transparent here. Kind of reminds me of the dragon incantation, Grail's Roar. What mechanical benefit will this serve? Or mechanical utility past, Grail's Roar? I don't know. Will it just do damage? Will it be a buff? Grail's Roar already does big damage in a huge area and lowers the defenses of your opponents. But whatever this bear is, it has red fur and horns grown out of it, much like the Crucible. So who knows why you can conjure a bizarre red-furred Crucible rune bear head, but it seems like this is a player doing it, or a player-shaped tarnished character.
Kind Mikono is doing here.
The dancer in this field fighting the samurai, interesting. We only know about one other dancer that I can recall in the whole mythos of Elden Ring, and that is Lady Tanith of Volcano Manor. She was a dancer, an exotic dancer. So it's kind of interesting. Is this lady a dream version of Lady Tanith, or perhaps somebody just from the same culture? Who knows? Also, in the background here, you'll notice these, ship galleon things, these monoliths in the background. They look like the bottom part of a ship just plunged into the earth. I don't know what they really are. I'm not going to tell you what they are. I'm just telling you what they look like to me. But they're very bizarre structures in this cool blue field, of course, contrasting with her red dress. Here we have confirmed armored boar for everyone. That's a piggy right there. We got the tusks. We got a knight fellow in the back. It looks like he's got one half of the knight's twin blade but broader, which makes it a superior weapon instantly, and purple gravity magic going on. So I'm glad that armored boar has been confirmed for the Elden Ring DLC. It's a funny sentence. I felt so clever thinking of that. It's not that clever, but I'm glad that I came up with it independent of anybody else. Alright, here we have some sort of horrible hippo alligator monster. We'll let a little bit of it play. This thing's terrifying. And then it gets these gold speckles. And just like Crucible Knights who grow appendages spontaneously, this thing, this hippo monster, manifests the Crucible. It even makes the noise the Crucible Knights do, and it sprouts all of these horns with these little jutting branches on it, very much like the Crucible, very suddenly, putting Ancestor followers to shame. My goodness. But that is quite the creature, and I don't even know if it's a boss or just an enemy we'll find in the open world. Here we have this bizarre bone figure riding on the front of a horse. Just the front of a horse, you'll see. Throws this bone boomerang at presumably the player character. I don't know what to think of this guy other than Nito's spiritual successor from Dark Souls 1. I don't know what he's all about, but he just gives me the heebie-jeebies. The fact that his head isn't a skull, but rather this weird rock with glowing eyes. Very interesting design. Look at that. Ugh. Something's going on here. Kind of reminds me of those failed experiment enemies from Bloodborne a little bit. I forget what they're called. Here it is. Remember that figure with the robe earlier? Or the shawl I said to point out? This looks similar to it. I don't have a side-by-side comparison, but hopefully this isn't that same poor old man, because he is in a wretched state. It looks like... I tried to scroll down as if I could look down at the feed. But he looks like he's on this horrible trellis kind of thing, a semi-trellis. I don't know what else to call it, like a elongated, spiky rib cage. He's trying to pull it out. Horrible, gruesome body horror. Miyazaki loves his dash of body horror every now and then. But this sort of trellis branching shape kind of reminds me, of course, Radigan's trellis, his symbol on his source seal, and kind of his implementation while trying to fix the Elden Ring. And I wonder if this is supposed to kind of resemble a rune arc and maybe somebody divesting themselves of, the Golden Order. Like, it's a painful, horrible, grueling process. That's speculation. Sorry. Not a hard through line, just what came to my mind. Don't know who this character is, but I feel like he's the one from the painting we were shown earlier. I know this is taking far longer than I hoped it would.
Of the race of gold shall all meet death.
And I wanted to show it off. The weapon that the Tarnished is holding.
Come now.
Look, he's got this shield. It's got 2 spikes. It kind of reminds me of a pavase, I think it's called. But it's got 2 spikes on it. Looks like he's going to do some super cool attack before he gets command grabbed.
Touch the withered arm and travel to the realm of shadow. I will not be...
And there we go. We get the Crucible Knight's wings. We've been waiting for it. We've been wanting it. This fellow's got that really broad twin blade that looked like the Godric Knight. He's not really Godric Knight. He looks like a bronze Godric Knight. He was earlier in the video. He was getting kicked, flying kicked in the face. This looks like his weapon. Don't know if it is, but maybe.
Be far behind. May we meet again.
And I'm going to run it back because I missed it. That's on me. But let's pay attention to the dialogue here because this is one of the most important parts aside from the beginning.
Touch the withered arm and travel to the realm of shadow.
Touch the withered arm and travel to the realm of shadow. What did the video begin with, or the trailer? That withered arm of Miquella poking out of the cocoon.
I will not be far behind. May we meet again.
And I don't know who's speaking. My first impression is a woman. I thought it might be Ronnie at first, but it didn't have that arrogance, that regal flair. It felt a little more grounded, down to earth. Still a lower woman's voice. At least that's what it sounds like to me. Could be Miquella, I suppose. He's supposed to be effeminate. I don't know. But I will not be far behind. May we meet again, and directing you to touch the arm. I don't know. It sounds like Nefeli's voice to me. She's the only voice who exists. Knowing my luck, it's a brand new character. So I know I said I shouldn't speculate too much. I've been keeping it to a minimum for you. And I'm not a betting man, but I have a feeling that this is likely Miquella in some sort of adult form. I know, speculation, we don't know, but who else would it be? And we get to wait a whole 4 months. But yeah, that's more or less it. I wanted to take a look over that video. I thought about bringing up the interview, but you can look it up yourself. Just, the exclusive Elden Ring interview with Miyazaki about the Shadow of the Erdtree. He answers some questions. He talks about how you get into the world. He talks about the landmass, a couple of the characters, adds some extra flavoring to what's going on. And it's really exciting. I'm super hyped. Hyped up. I can't not be. I love these games. They're a lot of fun. I'm excited for what's in the future. This was supposed to be a 10-minute video. I should have known better. So if you stood with me throughout all of this, thank you, and stay tuned for more PvP content. I'm excited to get a lore-appropriate, lore-friendly character together for the DLC, and we'll see what I come up with by then. So thank you, take care, and have yourself a good one. Bye now.